Okay, this is the setup of the Wheatstone bridge. Let me take you through it. This is the power supply over here. It's positive. It goes into the rheostat, which is a variable resistor, and I have it set at maximum to drop most of the voltage because I don't want the wire overheating and increasing their resistivity. It then goes from there to the slide wire, which is connected at 0 and goes to 100 over here. From there, it goes back to the power supply. Now, you see a bar over here. It's a steel bar, and at each of these points I have equipment set in, but they, by definition, are the same voltage. So, if I look over here, the same voltage point, I have connected to the spools, which are going to be our unknown, except we're going to set this up for calibration mode. So I have it on number 5, which is the most resistive, and it is in parallel with the slide wire when the galvanometer reads 0. On the other end, I have a decade box that I've set at 19 ohms, and what I did before you saw this is I checked the decade box with the multimeter to be sure it was reading. When I dial 19, it's 19. When I dial 18, it's 18. Because this is probably as old as I am, and I'm 68. Okay. Then in the middle, you have a galvanometer, not as sensitive as the ballistic galvanometer you saw in the first one, but in this case, you see a dial at the center, and I hope you do because I can't tell. And I can literally, by touching one end, deflect it one way, go to the other, deflect it the other. So somewhere in between those two numbers, which was 70 and 40, I'm going to exactly balance, and then I can use an equation that the unknown resistor is equal to the resistance in the decade box times the ratio of length 3 divided by length 4. How do I split the length? Is by where I happen to touch it by this wire from the galvanometer. So let's try 60 and 50. So I actually balance here at about 49.7. Now to do a calibration, I change this to 18, and as I do it, length 3 would increase, obviously, because R2 is decreasing. And then I'd have a fairly good number as to what the Wheatstone bridge sees spool 5 as. Once I've done the calibration, I would go back and look at each spool in turn, just the way I did with the multimeter, so that I could get a number comparison between the two methods. So you're comparing one standard against another. 19th century technology against essentially 20th century technology. And sometimes you got to be careful, because if this battery is weak, it'll give you lousy readings and you won't necessarily know it. If this thing is old and junky, usually you can tell because it will be wild and it will be inconsistent with the multimeter. If both are bad, you're kind of out of luck.